I used to be embarrassed by my mom, not in the normal teenage way. I was embarrassed by how she lived, the off-brand everything, the beans soaking on the counter like we couldn't just buy canned, the way she'd rinse out a sour cream container and put it in the cabinet like it was fine china. I thought we were doing something wrong. I thought when I got my own place, I'd finally live like a normal person. So I moved out, got the apartment, got the delivery apps, got the Target runs, got the "I deserve this" voice in my head. And I got $14,000 in credit card debt so quietly I didn't even notice it happening. This is how I got out, and why every single step reminded me of something my mom had already been doing my whole life. Here's the dirty secret about my $14,000. It didn't show up as one dramatic mistake. It was 100 tiny yes decisions. It was a Tuesday in March when I was tired from work and ordered Thai food because I didn't want to think about dinner. $38 including tip. It was a Target run for just toiletries that ended at $86 because I also got a candle and a cute throw pillow and a face mask I never opened. It was a yoga membership I joined in January and quit using by February, but kept paying for until November. It was every treat yourself moment when work was hard, which was a lot of moments because work is always hard. Then one day I did the most offensive math of my life. $14,000. That's about $40 a day for a year. That's not a crisis, that's just Tuesday. And I sat there with my coffee and realized I didn't have a spending problem. I had a not paying attention problem. Every single charge made sense in the moment. Together, they were burying me. Debt shame makes you avoid looking, so it grows in the dark. The minimum payments looked manageable on each individual card. Add them up across all of them, plus the interest, and I was looking at over 7 years of just running in place. That's when it hit me. I didn't need a new personality. I didn't need a budgeting app or a money guru. I needed my mom's old habits. So let's start with the one I rolled my eyes at the hardest. The beans. My mom soaked dried beans on the counter like it was a religious practice, and teenage me thought it was so embarrassing. Just buy the can, everyone else does. Why are we like this? Now I get it. Dried beans aren't poor. They're a time for money trade, and my mom was doing the math without ever calling it math. Dried beans come out to a fraction of the cost of canned per serving. We're talking pennies versus dimes. Across a year of regular meals, it adds up to real money. And canned beans are loaded with sodium. You're literally paying more for salt water, respectfully. But the beans aren't really about the beans. My mom wasn't trying to be a kitchen genius. She was building a dinner system that couldn't bankrupt us. A home-cooked meal runs around $4 a serving. Restaurant takeout is 4 to 5 times that. DoorDash with fees and tip lands closer to $35 an order. Americans spend more than $1,500 a year just on delivery. When you don't have a dinner default, every night becomes a decision. And tired people don't make good decisions about $35 burritos. I grabbed a 2-pound bag of pintos at the Mexican market on Saturday, $1.80. That's dinner 4 or 5 times this week. People say they don't have time to cook, then spend the same amount of time waiting on delivery. What they don't have is a plan. My mom's plan was beans on the counter. That was it. Then there's the drawer. You know the one. The "why do we have 37 butter tubs" drawer. The one with the sour cream container, the country crock tub, the takeout pint someone washed and saved. I used to think my mom keeping containers was clutter, a sad little struggle drawer. Now I get it. That drawer is an anti-purchase system. Because the real money leak isn't food. It's all the little solutions we buy to fix problems we already have supplies for. Pantry bins, matching glass storage sets, $5 lunch containers because this time I'm gonna meal prep. Meanwhile, your cabinet has 6 perfectly usable containers in it, minding their business. And reusing isn't gross, it's practical. Reusable containers hit their environmental break-even after a handful of uses. Past that, you're winning on every single front. Here's the chain reaction my mom understood without ever explaining it. You keep containers, you actually pack leftovers, you have food ready, and suddenly there's nothing to eat doesn't turn into takeout at 9 p.m. The drawer isn't clutter. The drawer is the system that prevents the $35 DoorDash order. Patrick opened our cabinet last week and just stared at me like I was feral. But guess who had lunch packed in a sour cream container the next morning? If you've got your own weird container drawer, or you're starting to think your mom was onto something, hit subscribe. I post videos like this every week. My freezer used to be a graveyard. A bag of mystery something from 2022 and a single chicken tender rolling around like it pays rent. Then I watched my mom one Sunday. She wasn't using the freezer for emergencies. She was using it as a pause button. Half a pot of soup nobody wanted seconds of? Freeze it. Extra rice? Flatten it in a bag, freeze it. Bananas turning freckly and dramatic? Peel and freeze for smoothies. Chicken from yesterday's dinner? Portion it for next week's lunches. She wasn't preserving food, she was pausing it. This matters because American households waste 30 to 40% of the food they buy. Hundreds of pounds per person every year. Hundreds of dollars. Quiet, no receipt. Just produce going soft, leftovers forgotten, bread getting hard. And then you order takeout because there's nothing to eat, while 3 meals worth of food is dying in the fridge 2 feet away. So my rule is, freeze it before you forget it. Not when it's already questionable, when you can still imagine eating it. My mom would have never called this a system. She just didn't waste things. But that instinct, pause it, save it, come back to it Tuesday, was worth thousands of dollars over a year. We just didn't see it because nobody hands out receipts for the takeout you didn't order. My mom's stuff lasted forever for one boring reason. She fixed it. A button came off, she sewed it back on. A seam split, she stitched it. A zipper broke, she found a way. She didn't replace things until they were genuinely, structurally done. I used to treat replacement like it was just normal. The button falls off, time for a new shirt. The bag rips, time for a new bag. But replacing is basically a recurring subscription you never agreed to. One loose button turns into, well, I guess I need a new shirt, and suddenly you're paying $32 a month for the privilege of not owning a needle. Most of us don't repair because we say we don't have the skills, or it takes too long. Meanwhile, we're throwing out close to 100 pounds of textiles per person every year. That's not decluttering, that's money leaving your life. Here's the practical move. Learn 2 fixes. Sew on a button, close a small seam. That covers most "this is done" moments in your closet. I sewed a button back on my favorite work cardigan last month. 4 minutes. I felt unstoppable. Drop a comment if you've ever fixed something and felt weirdly proud, or if you tossed something that, honestly, just needed 10 minutes and a YouTube tutorial. I read these. I steal your tips. I asked my mom once, how do you always know what we're low on? Like it was some mystical Latina superpower. And she goes, Mija, I looked yesterday. That was her whole system. No budgeting app, no color-coded spreadsheet, no envelope method, just awareness. What's in the fridge, what bills are coming, what's running low, and what's a want pretending to be a need. A lot of discipline is just removing surprise from your spending. When you make reality visible once a week, you stop getting ambushed at checkout. You stop getting end of month, where did it all go surprises. Not because you're suddenly more virtuous, because you can see it. My version of Mom's system is a 10-minute ritual on Sunday night. I check my balances, I look at what bills are hitting in the next 7 days, and I make one decision. What are we not buying this week? That's it. That's the whole budgeting system. Hiding the number doesn't make it smaller, it makes it louder later. I still log every charge in my notes app before bed. Coco's flea meds, my iced coffee. If it happened, it gets written down. That's the trick. That's the whole trick. I keep seeing underconsumption core online like it's some new aesthetic. And I'm like, okay, cute name, but immigrant moms have been doing this forever. No branding, no praise, no TikTok, just making it work because it had to work. In my family, my mom was the CFO of the whole house. She knew what we were low on, what could wait, what couldn't. And Latinas have been running money like this for generations. sometimes even doing tandas, those little trust-based lending circles where everyone pitches in and you take turns getting the pot. No banks, no interest, just community and receipts in your head. And here's what I had to be honest with myself about. I wasn't embarrassed that we were frugal. I was embarrassed that we looked different. I confused resourcefulness with deprivation. I thought everyone else's normal was the goal and ours was the problem. Then I moved out, I tried to look normal, and I accidentally spent the security away. My mom didn't have a podcast, she didn't have a system. She had a drawer of butter tubs, a pot of beans on the counter, and a freezer that paused dinner for Tuesday. And she kept a roof over us through 2 jobs and 1 paycheck and never carried a credit card balance in her life. So if something came to mind while watching this, a habit, a phrase, a weird little system from your family, write it down. Not for the internet, for you, before you forget it again. What did your family do that you called cheap that might actually be the reason they survived?